Hello, my darlings, and welcome to Story Time with Nanny. Tonight, our story is about Little Miss Late. Have you ever been late? Your mommy or daddy say, "Hurry up, we don't want to be late." Well, let's hear about Little Miss Late. Late for this, late for that. Little Miss Late was late for everything. For instance, do you know where she spent last Christmas? At home, Early Bird Cottage. But do you know when she spent Christmas? On January 25th, 1 month late. For example, do you know when she did her spring cleaning at Early Bird Cottage? In the summer, 3 months later. For instance, do you know when she went on her summer holiday last year? In December, 6 months late. Early Bird Cottage was just along the road from where a friend of hers lived, Little Miss Neat. Little Miss Neat was out for an evening stroll when she looked over the hedge. Miss Late was in the garden. "Hello," called out Little Miss Neat. What are you doing?" "I thought I'd cut the grass," replied Miss Late. "I think," remarked Little Miss Neat, looking at the grass, "you should have thought about that last April." Look, she can't even see through the grass. It's so long. "Tell you what," suggested Miss Neat. "Let's go shopping together tomorrow." "Good idea," agreed Miss Late. "I'll meet you in town around the corner of Main Street about 2 o'clock." "I'll be there," replied Little Miss Late. The following afternoon, Little Miss Neat stood on the corner of Main Street at 2 o'clock, waiting for Miss Late. She waited and waited and waited some more. Miss Late arrived. "Sorry, I'm a bit late," she apologized. "Sorry," cried Miss Neat. "A bit late? It's 5 o'clock and all the shops are closed." "Sorry," said Miss Late. And that's what happened all the time. It happened when Miss Late decided to take a job. Her first job was at the bank. But the trouble was, by the time she arrived for work, the bank had been closed for the day. Every day. "Sorry," she said. They had to ask her to leave. It happened at her second job as a waitress in a restaurant. Mr. Greedy came in for lunch. He glanced at the menu. "I'll have everything," he grinned. "Twice." He was still waiting to be served at 7 o'clock at night, so he went home. "Sorry," said Little Miss Late. They asked her to leave. It happened on her third job, working as Mr. Uppity's secretary. "I'd like these letters typed up before I go home," Mr. Uppity said to her. He went home at 4 o'clock. In the morning. "Sorry," said Little Miss Late. He asked her to leave. However, as it happened, which is often the way of things, Little Miss Late managed to find herself the perfect job. Now she works for Mr. Lazy. She cooks and cleans for him, cleaning his house every morning, cooking his lunch every lunchtime. Now, Mr. Lazy, being Mr. Lazy, doesn't get up in the morning like you and I. He gets up in the afternoon. And Little Miss Late, being Little Miss Late, is always late for work. So she doesn't arrive for work in the morning. She arrives in the afternoon. And Mr. Lazy, being Mr. Lazy, doesn't have lunch at lunchtime like you and I do. He has lunch at supper time. And so you see, it all works very well indeed. Last Friday evening, the telephone rang at Early Bird Cottage. Little Miss Late had just arrived home from work. It was Mr. Silly on the phone. "I've been given some tickets for a dance tomorrow night," he said. "Would you like to come?" "Oh, yes, please," said Miss Late eagerly. "Right," replied Mr. Silly. "I'll pick you up at 7 o'clock. Last Saturday, Mr. Silly walked up the path in front of Early Bird Cottage. He knocked. "Come in," said the voice from upstairs. Mr. Silly went in. "Make yourself at home," called Little Miss Late from upstairs. "I'll be down in a minute." Oh dear. How long do you think that Mr. Silly had to wait for Little Miss Late? I think she was late. I hope you enjoyed the story. Have a good night. I love you.